If you look at the new Regigigas, it has the worst ability in the entire game. It takes so much setup that it's considered virtually unplayable. But what if I told you there's a secret combo that actually breaks Regigigas right out of its chains and makes it reach maximum potential? Well, today we're putting this secret deck to the test in the Pulsing Aura Emblem event. We need to survive the meta and rack up 9 wins to secure that top emblem with a card that no one dared to play, Regigigas, and its ability Seal of Antiquity, which is considered by many the worst ability ever. It says if you don't have Regirock, Regice, and Registeel on your bench, this Pokemon can't attack, which is pretty on point for Regigigas' lore in the Pokemon world. However, this is Pokemon Pocket, and this kind of card design means it's never going to be playable. It has a pretty decent attack, being Giga Turbo. 3 colorless energy allows you to hit your opponent for 100, but here's the kicker: you can take a colorless energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. Now, the reason I said the attack isn't that bad is because this is a basic Pokemon and you can ramp this with many baby Pokemon in the game. However, even if you get to your 3 energy, you can't attack unless you have all 3 Regis on your bench. So how are you even going to ramp this guy? You can't. And I think that's the point. However, I don't like to be told how to play my Pokemon, which is why we're comboing in an Alolan Muk into this deck, because this Pokemon's ability is the only thing in the game that can save the new Regigigas. Its ability Power of Alchemy says basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponents, have no ability. So if we can evolve our Grimer into an Alolan Muk, our Regigigas can now actually get online without that hindrance of a horrible ability, which means we're going to catch our opponents off guard in this Pulsing Aura Emblem event and knock them out with a Pokemon that was never meant to attack. Here's the full deck list that we're starting off with. We have 2 baby Pichu to help us ramp our Regigigas, but also a Komala that's very helpful if we're going first. Now, we are starting off with an Alolan Muk EX in this deck, because adding a control element to this deck felt like a pretty good idea at the start. However, it might actually be the one card holding this deck back. The rest of the cards are Heavy Helmet to help us take less damage, a Starting Plains for our Regigigas, a Sabrina and Cyrus to close out games, a Leaf to help us with that unfavorable Alolan Grimer start. And yes, I know this isn't the promo Alolan Grimer because, well, I don't have the promo, and an Ilima to help us bounce our Regigigas and do it all over again. Quick shout out to CJ for suggesting this deck in the first place. And with that, guys, let's hop into the first match of the Emblem event. First match starts off with a Regigigas in the active spot. However, we are able to bench our Alolan Grimer, which means we're that much closer to getting our Regigigas fully up and running. Our opponent decides to just start ramping their benched Ponyta with their Moltres, which makes me think they're probably running the brand new Victini in this deck. Now, Alolan Muk looks even better for this match. However, we draw into the Alolan Muk EX, and I'm wondering maybe that might be a little bit more helpful later on in the game. So I hold off from evolving, I bench my Pichu, and I start ramping my active Regigigas, really wanting to see what my opponent's going to do before I fully commit to an evolution for this Alolan Grimer. My opponent does in fact attack my Regigigas, and because we're holding the Heavy Helmet, we take 20 less damage and they only hit for 50, which means I fully lean in to evolving into Alolan Muk to cancel Regigigas' ability and hit my opponent with a whopping 100 damage. They're left at 60 HP, decide to retreat back and bring up their Ponyta, who just singes my active Regigigas. But that's not going to be remotely enough because we get out of that burn, knock out their Ponyta, and still have more than enough HP to take out their Moltres EX and win our first match. In fact, our next 2 matches went favorably as well, with Komala helping us secure a victory on a Fossil in the back with a combo of Sabrina, and even our Regigigas besting a Mega Sceptile. Yeah, you heard that right, a Mega Pokemon, going down to a Pokemon that shouldn't even be able to attack, getting us 3 wins into the Emblem event in the process. However, that's where things started to take a turn for the worst. One match, I decide to evolve into the Alolan EX since we have the Darkness type advantage into their Psychic types. However, that proved to be the wrong choice, and an Alolan Muk non-EX would have been actually way more favorable since it doesn't give my opponent potentially 2 prize points, meaning we lose the Muk EX and then lose that match. And just when you thought I would learn from my lesson, no, the same thing happens again going into a Mega Gardevoir matchup, where we had the option to evolve into both Muks, and I did. However, I prioritized ramping up the Muk EX and fully believing in its move's effect, that it would potentially sleep our opponent or paralyze them. However, what we ended up getting was back-to-back confusion status, and our opponent just did not care, used their peculiar plaza, pivoted onto the bench, and completely wiped my Alolan Muk. Now, during our next matchup, our opponent was cooking something very spicy. I honestly have no idea what was going on with this one. However, we are able to get our Regigigas online and start to really consider, do we actually need an Alolan Muk EX in this deck? And I came to the realization of, no, I don't actually think we do. So chat started giving me a bunch of suggestions. However, one that stuck to me the most was suggested by CJ Star Gaming, and they said Rayquaza EX. So after we got our 4th win, I decided to modify the deck and add a Rayquaza EX instead of the Alolan Muk. And boy oh boy, would that turn out to be such a great addition. Now for the next matchup, Regigigas cleans up again because our opponents are just not ready for a Pokemon that's said to not attack to be able to attack. All because of Alolan Muk's ability Power of Alchemy. In fact, you could say this is more of a Alolan Muk deck, and this next match might honestly solidify that, because now we're sitting at 5 wins, and we go into an Ultra Beast matchup. And at first, I don't realize that my Alolan Muk isn't just going to give my Regigigas value, it's going to take away all the value on my opponent's side. Here's the moment where I actually fully realize that. I evolve here. He can't retreat, bro! He's stuck! Oh no! Bro, that's so funny. That's so funny! See that until now. I mean, I can't imagine they don't concede. I was the one who was like, wait, what's happening here, right? Okay, sure. Oh, brother. I'll go there. I want them to feel like they... Yeah. I want them to feel like they have a good chance here. So there we go. Now, I could have trapped him, and that was the absolute play. That's what I should have done. Oh, I guess I should have Sabrina'd first, huh? No heavy helmet. Nah, I want them to think they got this. I want to get Rayquaza on the board. That's what I really want to do. He can't retreat. He can't play another Celesteela. Nihilego does absolutely nothing. Ooh, guaranteed. Okay, sure. Imagine we top deck the Ilima here. Grindcore is absolutely going to be annoying. So we lose 1, and that's it. So I just attach another energy here. We're okay. And then we have the helmet here. So I go here. In case he wants to do some shenanigans next turn. Actually, wait, I still go down, don't I? 100. The poison takes me out, but then we have Kamala here that can win next turn. Poison is only 10-10. However, if they hit Tyrannical Hole off of a Lucamine, if they Lucamine, they can't PCL, they can't do anything else. They could Lucky Ice Pop. I think that's what they're looking for here. Did CJ leave? Not CJ Star, CJ, the one who designed this deck that I got, because I'm playing so unoptimally. Wait a second. It's GG's right now, right? It's over? It's over for me? Okay, it's over for me, unless we top deck an Ilima right here. Ilima? Would have been sensational. Sure. I'll just go here. End my turn. We take the poison. Bro flipped 6 without will. Yo, someone sign him. There's the Lucamine. Interesting. I don't know why you would Lucamine there, though. Come on, come on, come on. 6 cards. Where are you? We're only taking 20 damage each turn. Where are you? There we go. I was a little early. Okay, we can win right now with Kamala, but how many of you guys actually want to win with Rayquaza? Absolutely not. We're getting these W's. we're going with the rolling tackle. Calm down, guys. That was another great win, but we're not going to stop here because our following matchup was into another Darkness Ultra Beast. However, not only is Alolan Muk going to get value here, but that new Rayquaza edition I told you guys about earlier, yeah, absolutely popped off. All right, wipe their board, buddy. What a perfectly balanced distribution of damage. Well, I think we just win next turn. As you can imagine, with 7 wins and only 2 losses, I'm feeling like I built the best deck in the entire world. However, this is where things started to go horribly wrong. We start going into the worst loss streak of the entire run. The first loss of the streak happens because we can't find our Alolan Grimer to help our Regigigas, so it can in fact do absolutely nothing. But on top of that, our opponent's playing Flygon EX, and its ability is more than enough to take out our Rayquaza and win them the entire game that way, through their Sand Slammer ability. Such a good Pokemon. Our next loss was because we couldn't find our Alolan Muk now. We're just not finding our Pokemon. And even when we do find our Pokemon, our opponent is just absolutely wiping the board with us. No, I quite literally mean the entire board. Heck, we even lost to an Audino Moltres combo. Like, what the heck is even that? But nothing was as bad as me not being able to math my weakness of Rayquaza and losing to a Genetic Apex Zapdos deck. Full Gamba, and we went down because they flipped 2 coins out of the 4. Now, sitting at a 5-game loss streak, I felt like we needed to change something about this deck, something to help us to get out of this rut. And with that, I decided to switch out a heavy helmet for a May, mainly because being able to find our Pichu, Regigigas, and especially Alolan Muk was going to be the make or break of this deck. Hey guys, just want to take a quick break from the video to thank you for always watching and supporting the channel. It means the world to me. But did you know that you can support the channel even more by becoming a member here on the channel for as little as $2.99? Yeah. By becoming a Team Crown Grunt, you're going to get exclusive access to our Discord server and the benefit of knowing that you're forever funding every future Pokemon Pocket video here on the channel. Because in this economy, it's been kind of rough. But beyond that, if you want to support even more, you can become a Team Crown admin and have your name up here in the corner. I had to look to make sure that was the corner I was pointing at. But beyond that, guys, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support. And even if you can't support monetarily, all the likes, the hypes, the comments are truly appreciated. So thanks again. With that, let's hop right back into the video. With this new updated deck, we go into our next matchup, and it was a really confusing one. I wasn't sure what my opponent was trying to do with Metal Energies and 2 Teal Mask Ogre Puns. But by the time we figured it out, it was a bit too late for them, because my Pokemon were online and ready to knock out everything. It was a great game, but my opponent may have just overcooked a bit. Which brings us to our last and final match, the match we need to win our top tier Emblem event. Our opponent's a fighting type. They start with the new Riolu, they switch out and then evolve into their fighting coach Lucario. However, we counter with a Sabrina. But the second our opponent sees that Sabrina, they concede and give us our 9th win and the top emblem of the Pulsing Aura Emblem event. However, it was a very anticlimactic finish, and 9 is kind of a weird number to stop on. 10 is a pretty round number, plus it gets me 1,000 more Shine Dust. So we decide to do one more match, and we end up matching into a Mega Sceptile, one of the strongest, scariest decks in the entire game. And this is how it went. And then I'm going to go for Pichu right into this second Regigigas. Oh, I got you. I didn't get the reference. My bad. All right, here we go. I think he has everything he needs because of the way he played. Okay, that's a little silly in my opinion. Okay. I mean, I'm just gonna go into this guy and hit you for 100, bud. I think this is okay, and then I can rep my second Giga Turbo. So I hit 100, I rep my Regigigas. He attacks again into... Oh, another Trico. Interesting. Oh, I was not expecting that. He doesn't have it. Ooh. Tough luck, buddy. Don't you just love it over here? I'm gonna go for the 100 damage, knock him out. Okay. Get the energy there. All right. If they don't play another basic, it's done. It's over. I got him. I got him. He's so happy right now because of Nihilego. But he has no idea, you guys. He has no idea. Give me that 10th win. Give me that 10th win. And that's how I beat the Emblem event with Regigigas, a Pokemon that no one thought was playable. Be honest, guys, did I change your opinion on Regigigas? Do you think it's now playable? And what other combos could we potentially use with Alolan Muk? Let me know in the comments, and with that, don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.